Hello everybody and welcome back to another Iris tutorial video. My name is Alex and in this video we're going to cover how to label all of the parts and blocks within a project that we've created in the past couple videos in Iris. And as I do in all of my videos, I do a quick recap as to what we did in the last video. And in the last video we had gone through into our paperspace tabs here and we had talked about how to get a nice view within the paperspace, as well as how to get the reports off the side of the drawing that's in the blank areas of the paperspace and put them into the drawings themselves. Now, just as a quick reminder to all of the designers that have been using Exhibitware in the past, and I'll scooch over here to the legend page so you can see what I'm talking about. You knew how time consuming it was to go through, run an extract, and then go through again and create all of these individual reports, one for art panels, one for non-art panels, accessories, countertops and shelves, and metal items individually. Going through and running the ISS command, which is the Iris schedules command, allows you to be able to do all of that at once, which should be a really good time saver. So with that said, let's go ahead and get back over here to the isometric view and we can start labeling up some of these parts in the drawing. Now, just as a quick reminder for anyone that's used Exhibitware in the past, if you wanted to go in and label these parts, the way that you did it was either through memorization of where you'd put the part in, which was kind of taxing, or the way to go into it and do it was to actually click into the viewport itself to get into modelspace, select the part, go over and look at the part number within the attributes, and then after that, either copy the information from here, draw an arrow, or just type it in either through an mtext command or a text command. And you know just as well as I do how time-consuming and nerve-wracking that was, especially once you started getting into redesigns. So anyways, that was just kind of a quick little history lesson of what we were doing in the past. I'm going to go ahead and let's concentrate on what we're doing now. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a new function with an iris that helps you label these things not only a little bit faster, but actually auto-updates later on down the road. So to get into this, we're going to type in iris like we always do just to make sure that everything loads up. Type in IHK for iris hotkey, and the hotkey that we're going to look for on this one, or the function key that we're going to look for on this one, is going to be ILB, which is right about here, and that stands for iris label. So we can just double click on that to launch it, and first thing it does is that it asks you to select a component down here at the bottom left hand corner. Now, something to remember when you're going in to do this is that you are in paperspace mode, or excuse me, you're in model space mode when it's looking for these parts and when it's doing the labels. So you can actually go in and accidentally move something. If you zoom in, it'll accidentally zoom in as well. You'll have to cancel out of it and go back. So what I like to do is I like to make sure that I'm in paperspace and zoom in pretty much like as close as I can on just the area that I'm trying to label. So I'll bring up ILB again and we're going to concentrate on labeling the art panels in this, which there's one right here, one right here, and one right here. So now that we have ILB up and running, the first thing that it asks you is to select a component. So we'll select that one right there. The next option that it gives you is select the pointer end of the leader, and that's if you want to do a leader line. It automatically looks for a snap point. With panels it's not going to have one, so if you click on it, it may say invalid point, specify a point. Just click again anywhere in it and it'll automatically come up with a bubble for it. Now on this next part, if you click where you want it and the next option will say specify a second point, and you move off and click again, it'll go ahead and create a bubble without a leader line, and you'll be able to know that it's done when it says command nil. That means that it's finished. So I'll go ahead and show that to you again here real quick. We can just hit enter to bring IHK back up, and we'll go back into ILB. We'll do this panel over here. We'll click click again, click, click, and there we go. As soon as it says nil here, it means that we're done. You can zoom in and out without altering the view in paper space. So I'm actually going to move this guy back over here a little bit just so it looks a little bit cleaner. And lastly, to sum this up, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to type in ILB for the command just to show you how it's done without using the hotkeys. We're going to click on this panel, and you're going to want to try to find a place where it doesn't snap. Otherwise, it may click something behind it and it may label something that you don't want it to label. So once you have that, specify a point, grab it again, grab it, and there you are. We'll move this up here. And that right there, now we have all of our art panels labeled. So now that we got that, I'm going to go ahead and do a zoom extents out so we can reset the view on this. And we're going to toggle over to the metal view. And we'll do some labeling here. This is where we'll be able to show you the leader lines. So just as before, I'll type in ILB. It'll ask you to select a component, and let me just turn my grid snap off here. And I'm going to select this piece of metal here. It'll ask you where you want to have your leader line start. Click there, drag it out to where you want it, and boom, there it is. And we'll just hit enter to go straight back into ILB. Click, hit this again and drag it out. ILB, click, click and drag out. ILB, click, click and drag out. ILB, click, click and drag out. And there we are. All of our metal parts are labeled. Now, something to remember, especially when you start getting into simpler structures like this, you don't have to label every single piece of metal. Otherwise, your drawing is going to start getting really busy really fast. But I did notice that I forgot one, so I'm just going to go ahead and ILB, click, click, and there we go. Cool. Now we got everything set up. So now that we finished the metal on this, I'm just going to go ahead and type in PS just to make sure that this page is in paper space. It's just not really anything to do with Iris. It's just a little bit of my OCD kicking in and making sure that everything is nice and clean before I leave the tab. And we're going to switch over to the panel color view tab. Now in the panel color view, if I scroll down here to the bottom, you'll see that we have art panels and we also have non-art panels. So when we go to do the labeling for this, we're going to do every single one of these panels so you can see exactly what's going on with them, and so the production knows what to do in terms of assembling things. So to label these, we'll go back into ILB, and I'm actually going to show you the pace for getting a leader bubble in without having to worry about any kind of hiccups. The general rule of thumb for it is that it's about 1 click per second. For some reason, it's a little touchy on the timing. We're going to work with the developer in order to find a way to speed it up a little bit just so we can work faster. But I'll show you exactly what I mean with that. So I'm going to actually shut up here for a second, and I'll just count off the clicks as I do them. So I'll click, 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 and done. And then there's our panel right there. And you'll always be able to tell when it's done. If you look down here at the bottom where it says command nil, that means that it's finished. So I'll go ahead and do it again here for the art panel. Click, 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 and done. So it's about 1 click per second. So I'm just going to run through here real fast and label the rest of these panels. Oops, a little too fast. And there we are. So as you can see on this drawing, once we started getting down to these little return panels here, I went ahead and just did leader lines on them because there's not really enough space for it to show what needs to go where. So now that I'm done with this page, I'll just type in PS to get, whoops, get out of here, hit escape a few times. I'll type in PS to make sure that I'm out of model space and back into paper space, just making sure that everything's nice and cleaned up before I leave. Move these guys so they're just a little bit better. If you can't tell, I like my drawings to be nice and clean. And we'll move on to the next one. Countertops are pretty much set up the same way as art panels. We'll just ILB, click, 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 and let's try that one again. And then once we get out of that, go back in again. And there we are. Now we have all of our countertops labeled up and ready to go. And once we're done with that, we can go through the other pages just to make sure that everything looks good. Perspective, we don't do any labeling unless we're just doing like specific annotations for the client. Same thing for perspective 2. And then lastly, we have the legend page, which since it doesn't have a viewport for us to look at anything for the model, we don't have to do any labeling on this either. So there's actually one more thing I want to show you before we conclude this video, and it is what happens if you have to throw in another art panel that you know is going to change the annotation identification for these, because right now we have panel A's and panel B's, but what if you throw in a panel that messes up this alphanumeric order? So I'm going to show you that real fast. I'm going to run over to model view, type in IIN for iris insert, and I'm just going to click, or I'm just going to bring in any random panel. So we'll just say C, I don't know, we'll just wildcard it and pick one out here. So this one seems good. We'll drop this in. And just real quickly, get the attributes in, change the layer, and we're good. So now that we have this done, first things first, I'm going to actually clear the schedule out. You don't always have to do this, but I'm going to show you just for the sake of this demonstration. And if you want to, oops, we'll actually do an IHK so I can show you the information on it. If you want to clear out a schedule completely, the key function for it is ISC, and what that'll do is it'll clear out every single schedule on this. And if we go through our paper space tabs, you'll notice that all of our reports that we had generated before are now gone. Now you don't need to do this every single time. These are kind of reserved for if you have a project that has to have a lot of big changes and is really going to alter the size of your reports. So now that we've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and run a new extract by typing in ISS. Yes for the extract, and we'll go ahead and do all. And for the duplicate extract, we're just going to do 1. And I'll bring up the F2 window here for the AutoCAD text window so you can see it process through. And once it's done, it'll ask you if you want to create send to shop reports. Should come up here in just a second. There it is. And we'll say yes. And when you do that with the send to shop reports, it automatically overwrites whatever you've had in your send to shop reports before. So you don't have to worry about going into the C drive like we had done in the last video and deleting everything out. This will do it automatically. So we should be good to go. So we're going to go ahead and run through these tabs here real fast and replace the reports. And again, as mentioned before, you don't have to clear everything out. I'm just doing it just so you guys can see what I'm working with. And I believe we scaled these down here. Move him right there. Move this one right here. And drag these all in. And there we are. Go ahead and get back to the very first page, which will be our isometric view, and we'll do a little bit of explanation here as to what happened with the labels. So I'm actually going to run back to the legend page, grab the art panels, copy it, and then paste it here into the isometric view. And if you can tell, if you look down here at the reports, ME2292, that was originally our A panel, and ME872 was originally our B panel. Because the part numbers generate in the reports alphanumerically in order, C1126 has now shifted these down. So A became B and B became C originally. So once we look back here into the drawing, you can see that anything that was originally an A is now a B, and what was originally a B is now a C, which is really nice because if you have a large project that requires you to go in and relabel a lot of things, this is a huge time saver. The only issue with it is that it doesn't recognize a new panel when you put it in as far as the labeling. So all you got to do is just click with the ILB, get back on it, drag it out, and there's your A panel. Now that we're done with that, paper space, zoom extents, and we're right back out. And I'm looking through all these. Every single one of these looks good. And it probably wouldn't hurt to label this guy too. And there we are. So the last thing that I want to cover on this real fast is the reports. And all these reports do, and I talked about this a little bit in the last video as well, but because they did change because we added that art panel, I wanted to show you that this actually updates it as well too. So it'll generate these 5 reports out, given that you have all of these parts in here, both for all 4 accessories, metal reports, countertops and shelves, graphics, and panels. And if we zoom in on the art panels here, you'll see that we have a quantity of 1 for the C1126, which was the oddball art panel that we threw in there. The labor codes, this captures in all of the labor codes that are used throughout the project. And the summary page still categorizes everything by sales cost, rent cost, panel rental cost. Wow, that was a little bit of a slip there. And all of the minutes associated with pull and prep out of the shop, as well as install and dismantle times, and lastly a cumulative weight down at the bottom. And now that we've got that all done, we're gonna go back to the isometric page and prepare for the next video. So in the next video, we're going to cover going through the reports a little bit more, and we're also going to cover how to plot things out, or excuse me, not plot, how to print things out to PDF so we can save these out and put them out on the J drive and out on OLP so a client is able to view these projects. And as I say in all my videos, if you have any questions or comments regarding on anything that I've done in this video, feel free to give me a shout out either by phone or by email. And again, if you have an issue that I can't replicate on my end, we can always do this in TeamViewer in real time on your machine. Thank you very much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.